So far, we have 3 times y, which is a common factor. Inside the part, we have this first x squared times, use the same color, x plus 2, then plus, the second one is -1 times x plus 2. So now, the red part, x plus 2, underline, is our new common factor. Because in this big group, the first part is x squared times x plus 2. X plus 2 is a factor. Second part is -1 times x plus 2. X plus 2 is again a factor. So we can factor it out again as a common factor. So we have 3y times x squared plus -1, so it's -1. We write it as plus -1, just in case it's more clear where these terms came from. And the plus came from this plus. Then multiply with the leftover part, which is x plus 2. So we can copy this as now 3y times, I write it in green. Okay. X squared plus -1 is -1. Then lastly, the red part, x plus 2. So that's the end of step 2. Step 2 just asks us to apply corresponding method depending on how many terms we have. If we have 2 terms, remember we have some formulas to deal with it. If you haven't do this part yet, just keep going on at it. You will find when you have a 2-term polynomial, how you can factor it. When you have 3-term polynomial, how you can factor it. When you have a 4-term polynomial, how you can factor it. 2 terms, we have formulas. 3 terms, we have the cross product or factoring factoring polynomial by something called AC method. And the last case, which is 4 terms, which is like factoring by group, which is, and the 4-term case is what I'm showing here. You have 4 terms, so you regroup them as 2, 2. You factor the common part from each small group, and then there should be a new common factor. In this case, after we factor each small groups, we have our new factor is x plus 2 in red. So now, it looks good because here we already have the first polynomial looks like a product of several smaller polynomials. We have 3y, we have x squared minus 1, we have x plus 2. And now we are going to our step 3. Let me see. We use the red, we use blue, we use green, we use blue, and the last one, let's use, let's say purple. So we have step 3, which is check. What to check? Let me copy the results so far. We have 3y times x squared minus 1 times x plus 2. So far, that's our result. Now let's check the first part. This is good because it's a product of degree 1 polynomial. It's 3 times x. This part, as a 2-term polynomial, is actually not factored completely, because these 2 terms actually can be factored for one more step. And the first one is good. The last one also, this is a degree 1 polynomial, and we never able to factor a degree 1 polynomial, so x plus 2 is also good. Now let's just see the middle part. We check as a 2-term polynomial, oops, my pen doesn't, okay. As a 2-term polynomial, oh, okay, here we go. As this one as a 2-term polynomial can be factored for one more time. Because, again, let me make the about stop smaller. Not too small. By this, a 2-term polynomial can be factored only by our formula. And the formulas we have our formulas are, we have a squared minus b squared, we have a cubed plus b cubed, we have a cubed minus b cubed. We have a difference of square, we have a sum of cube, we have a difference of cube. The difference square formula given by a square, the difference square is a minus b times a plus b. Or maybe sometimes a plus b times a minus b, but you know they are the same, it's product. And sum of cube is a plus b times a square minus a times b plus b square. The last one, the difference of cube, is given by a minus b times a square plus a times b plus b square. These are our formula. So in this case, we just check, okay, these two, we have x squared minus, so this one looks like a difference of square. So we may try to apply this formula. And so we have to write this as a difference square, but we know x squared minus 1 equals to 1 squared. That's a small trick. So x minus 1 written as x squared minus 1 squared, and this is, by our formula, a is x, b is 1. The formula gives us the result should be a minus b times a plus b, so this is a is x, so it's x, minus b is 1, so it's minus 1 times a plus b, x plus 1. And that's it. So, after all, this one tells us this blue part actually equals to the purple, x minus 1 times x plus 1. So after all, these three terms, 3y is 3y, but the green part, but the blue part can be written as x minus 1 times x plus 1. Then the red part is good, it's degree 1. So here, this is our final result. Oh. Finally, from the first, we got here. We factor the polynomials 3 times x cubed times y plus 6 times x squared times y minus 3 times xy minus 6y to this final result. We have 3y times x minus 1 times x plus 1 times x plus 2. That's at the end. So that's how our strategy really works. To factor a polynomial, in general, we have 3 steps. The first step, you just check if you can find the good GCF, greatest common factor, which is this green part. We find the GCF, factor it out. Then we got here 3y times a long polynomial. Then step 2, we just focusing on the second part and see which case it is. It's a 2-term polynomial or a 3 terms polynomial or maybe a 4 terms polynomial. And here, if we have 2 terms, we use a formula. If we have 3 terms, we use the AC method or cross product method. And if it's a 4 terms, we use a grouping trick. These 3 methods are all on Alex. So just do more topics. If you haven't seen them yet, you will see it. Just keep going. And after you determine how many terms you have, you can apply the method. Here we have 4 terms, so we apply the grouping trick. And after applying the grouping trick, we got here, which is the end of step 2. We have 3y times, we factor the 4 terms as a 2 times 2. But that's not the end. Sometimes you can do one more step by checking each small factor if you can factor it again. So here, 3y, which is our step 3 in purple, 3y is good. X squared minus 1 actually is a perfect formula. It's square minus square. So we will do it, factor it again later. And x plus 2 is good. It's degree 1, and degree 1 is always good. So we only need to, after we check the polynomial, which find the middle term, we maybe try to factor it again. We find the purple part, which is x squared minus 1. We write it as a different square, x squared minus 1 square, because 1 equals to 1 square. So we got here, which is x minus 1 times x plus 1 by our formula. And after we got here, we just replace x squared minus 1 by the factored form. So we got our final result here. 3y times x squared minus 1 become x minus 1 times x plus 1, and then times x plus 2. That's how the general strategy to factoring a polynomial works. So that's all for today's example.